Hi everyone, my name is Geletaw Zeleke. Today we're going to discuss about identity politics. We will see its definition, its main causes, and its main problems. And finally, we will see some theories of sociopolitics to protect group rights without politicizing identity. So let's start with its definition. Let's see first, where does the term identity politics come from? The term identity politics was coined by the Combahee River Collective during the late 1970s out of Boston, Massachusetts. The CRC introduced the term identity politics to define a political agenda for themselves to run with. The organization's founders say that today's understanding of identity politics is different from their concept in 1977. Identity politics simply meant seeking rights during that time. So how is identity politics defined today? So politicians, sociologists, and anthropologists have come to measure the concept of identity politics, which I believe can be best understood as a tendency for people of a particular religion, ethnicity, or social background to form exclusive political alliances, thus moving away from traditional broad-based party politics. What causes identity politics? There are 6 main causes of identity politics. Number 1, isolation of identities. 2, forced assimilation. 3, annexation. 4, inertia. 5, identity entrepreneurship. 6, socialist ideology. Let us look at the 6 main causes of identity politics one by one now. Number 1, isolation of identities. In a certain nation or country where groups are subject to isolation in social, political, or economic affairs from the union, this exclusion will bring about identity politics. 2, forced assimilation. In a certain nation or a country where there is a tendency toward systemic or forced cultural assimilation or any identity assimilation, that union will fall into identity politics. Number 3, annexation. When ethnic groups feel disregarded within the union, groups will be forced to seek equality, and this quest, unresolved, will lead to identity politics. Number 4, inertia. Some people resist changes. Inertia is the concept of social resistance to progressive changes. Many of us think that identity politics is the result of marginalization alone, but the opposite is also true. Identity politics can be used as a way to retain power. In the US, for example, the white nationalism movement is not the result of marginalization, but really an attempt to hold on to power. Number 5, identity entrepreneurs. Some politicians try to use culture or religion or any identities for their political purpose. This act is called instrumentalism. Instrumentalism in meaning is when people use and manipulate identity for political purposes. When politicians or political elites play this kind of game, identity politics will emerge and grow in the union. Another cause is socialist ideology. Socialist ideology has its own belief, especially on ethnicity. According to Joseph Stalin, a nation is an historically evolved, stable community of language, territory, economic life, and psychological makeup manifested in a community of culture. He said This is his definition. When we accept this definition and build our politics on this base, we magnify ethnic identity and shrink diversified national identity. So what are the dangers of identity politics? I will show you 11 problems caused by identity politics. These are the following. 1. Destroy the dream of a perfect union. 2. Identity votes destroy democracy. Number 3. Erode loyalty to national identity. Number 4. Micro differences grow macro level. 5. Trust will evaporate, trust evaporation. Number 6. Encourage extremism and fundamentalism. Number 7. Egoism. 8. Pulling sameness and pushing differences. 9. It erects itself on human weaknesses. Number 10. Increase elites faction. 11. Separation. Now, let us take a look at the dangers of identity politics one by one. Number 1, destroy the dream of a perfect union. As you know, the U.S. Constitution states in its preamble, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. No? Americans do always strive to make their union more perfect. Perfection in this context means equality among groups, development, democracy, and peace. But if identity politics arise, it destroys the dream to make the U.S. Union more perfect. U.S. citizens must fight to prevent this. Number 2, identity votes destroy democracy. One of the main purposes of elections is to ensure that our vote goes to the candidate who captures our interest with better ideas and policies. One of the basic principles of democracy is that vote for ideas, not for gender, not for race, and not for any other identities. Voting for identity hurts our democracy. Democracy is by the people, for the people. But identity politics is by the identity, for the identity. It destroys democracy. Number 3, erode loyalty to national identity. When identity politics arise based on race, ethnicity, and so on, it can divide our loyalty to the idea of national unity. Loyalty to our union is the anchor for national strength. Constitutional patriotism is an anchor for unity. Number 4, micro differences will grow to macro level. When politics based on identity grow, micro differences grow into macro differences. In this case, differences will be highlighted and politicized, and as a result, national identity will diminish. Number 5, trust evaporation. In social capital theory, one of the most important values is trust. Trust is very important to keeping our union healthy and functional. Trust is like the glue that keeps us together. Identity politics will always damage trust relationships between groups, and it leads to trust evaporation. Group members become suspicious and rational thinking is destroyed when we allow identity politics to play in our political grounds. Number 6, encourage extremism and fundamentalism. Today we hear a lot about extremism. Such extremists are promoters of identity politics, by the way. ISIS, for example, Al-Qaeda, Al-Shabaab want to establish extremist government based on their religious identities. Political extremism comes from identity politics. We have to fight identity politics in order to make our world safe. Number 7, egoism. One of the problems with identity politics is that it feeds the egos of citizens. In our unions, we need to live in our union, we need to live not only for ourselves, but also for others. Me identity politics will destroy our union. Me politics. Identity politics will destroy our union. Regardless of our differences, we need to live for others too. Understanding one another and coexistence of identities is one of the most important elements of our union. Number 8, pulling sameness, pushing differences. One of the biggest problems with the identity politics is that its influence concentrates sameness and forces differences out. This nature is very dangerous for diverse societies. Number 9, erect itself on human weaknesses. It erects itself on human weaknesses. We human beings have weaknesses, as you know. We are not like God. Our love, our loyalty is not perfect like God. Therefore, when we play politics based on bloodline, family, or other identities, we undermine democratic principles in order to support our identity. Politics must be based on ideas to eliminate human bias. Democracy sees from above. It surpasses identities to encourage justice. Number 10, increase elite faction. The elites of a country will be greatly separate when identity politics are at play in the country. This group isolation will diminish rational thoughts and paranoia can grow. 11, separation. Democracies always see diversity as strengths, better together, and solidarity of groups, solidarity of identities are blessings to democracy. When we politicize identities, we start to build walls between people and destroy the idea of better together. Better together is the anchor for unity. So these are the problems. After having said all this, there is a big question though. This question is this: how do we protect identities without politicizing identity itself? What are the theories of social politics? Now, I will show you 5 social politics theories. Number 1, we'll see melting pot. 2, cultural mosaic. 3, liberal democracy. Number 4, constitutional patriotism. And number 5, pluralism. Let's see one by one now. Number 1, melting pot. This theory was designed to strengthen national identity by building one assimilated national culture, which is impossible. However, as groups are forced to assimilate or systematically forced to assimilate, they begin to react. This theory brings about identity politics and does not respect pluralism. This theory is now considered to be failed. So melting pot is failed. Number 2, second theory, cultural mosaic theory. This theory respects multiculturalism. It helps to reduce identity politics as well. However, the theory needs to be better articulated. It is not articulated well. Number 3, liberal democracy. Many believe that liberal democracy helps to respect identity differences and helps to keep identity politics out. However, liberal democracy sometimes cannot address cultural identity issues. In the race for liberty, minorities sometimes lose their identities. Individual liberty cannot always be a guarantee for group rights or for group identities. Therefore, liberal democracy is under question for its identity handling. Number 4, constitutional patriotism. This theory was developed by German philosopher Jürgen Habermas. Habermas says a strong national identity can be built through constitutional patriotism. Identities, regardless of their differences, need to be loyal and patriotic to their constitutions. This commitment will strengthen unity and help to eliminate identity politics. This theory is important and help to build unity. Number 5 is pluralism. Pluralism worry for minorities. Pluralism is not about only cultural identity, but it carries about idea pluralism, media pluralism, and so on. So now we saw 5 theories. What is the best way to protect our identities? Now, pluralism is the best idea to protect group rights and eliminate identity politics and strengthen unity. It is a great way to make our union more perfect. Modern politics revolve around ideas at the level of national identity. Other group identities can be protected by involvement within the non-political sphere. Pluralism is the best socio-political theory now. In conclusion, the political gravitational force shall be based on national identity to enjoy democracy and strong unity. Uphold pluralism and say no for identity politics. No for identity politics. Thank you for watching and God bless. If you have any question or comments, please contact me at geletawzeleke@gmail.com. May God bless. Thank you.